So now that we're done with the disassembly, we're going to do the reassembly. We already have an impeller sitting on our shaft here, so we're going to go to one of the more important steps in the entire assembly, if not the most important, which is setting the assembly in its height. So we'll go ahead and screw our shaft adjusting piece back in. And one thing you want to do when you have your first impeller sitting on the shaft is you want to adjust the assembly just slightly upwards so the bottom shroud of the impeller is even with the bottom of the suction casing. All right, now that we have that there, we're going to go ahead and grab our suction diffuser and set that down. You'll see that the face of it is flush with the suction casing down here. You'll take one of your stage casings, and if you can see, we have these studs that are in there, these little grub screws. And what you'll have to do is mark this last grub screw right here with a Sharpie. Now what you have to make sure of is when you're setting this down, you can see these little flutes here. You want to make sure this line is in between two of these. So we'll go ahead and set that down. And you'll hear that noise, and that's telling you that it's metal to metal and you're where you need to be. Also, just do a visual check to make sure that the stage casing and the suction casing don't have a large crack here at the bottom. Once we're done with that, we'll go ahead and install the keyway for the second impeller, and slowly set that impeller down. Now you want to make sure when you're doing this that if you're getting any resistance on the shaft with the impeller, to go ahead and take it off. The worst thing you can do with a stainless to stainless application is try to force it on. So if you do run into a little resistance, just go ahead and back it off, clean out the shaft, and start over again. Sometimes you will have to take a really fine grit sandpaper and run it along the shaft so we don't have any seizing issues, because once they seize, they're very, very difficult to get off. Okay, so once we're done installing that, we'll go ahead and grab our discharge casing and set that on the assembly. And then again, use your mallet to make sure that's flushed down. And you can hear a different noise when it's all the way down. All right, now that that's set, we'll go ahead and reinstall two of the tie rods and use our washers to compress the assembly. You can really hand tighten this. This is just so we know that the assembly is compressed as much as possible. And if you look at the cracks as well, you can see that there's no opening in there. So we know it's compressed as much as we can. You can also take your torque wrench and put a little more pressure on there if you feel it necessary.